Hello there, my fellow Fujoshis and Fudanshis. Welcome to Chapter 3 of Reading and Reacting Golden Terrace. I really like this reading and reacting thing because at most I'm just reading one chapter in a day because my throat is like too sore to read two chapters. Otherwise, I don't want an incident like what happened in Chapter 2. It's like if I'm just reading like without speaking, as we like to say, reading in your heart. That's what we like to call it. When you're just reading in your heart, I can binge read. Like, I would have finished this by now. But no, I am trying to reserve for you guys to see my reaction and my questions. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. It was evening at the capital camp garrison in the western outskirts, 100 li outside of the capital. The sharp wind camp commander Zhong He came out personally to meet their entourage, and Xiao Shun stepped forward to salute. Before he even finished the ceremony, Zhong He had already left him behind, hurriedly rushing towards the carriage and bowing in salute. This lowly general of the sharp wind camp commander Zhong He greets General Fu. Aww. That is okay. The sharp wind camp was ranked first among the 5 major military camps of the capital. Zhong He was a third-ranked official and therefore already very respectable himself, but he was even more relevant in his treatment of the Marquis of Jingning. A bandaged hand lifted the curtain, and the strong scent of medicine slowly spread through the air. Fu Shen did not wear armor, only robes. His chest and arms were fully wound with bandages, and the blanket covering his legs hung down to his feet. His complexion was pale with a green tinge, his lips completely bloodless and sexy, and his hair was scattered down to his shoulders. His entire person seems to only hang by a single breath, so weak as if he would topple over to a gentle breeze. Oh, come on, that's rude. His entire person seems to only hang by a single breath, so weak as if he would topple over to a gentle breeze. Wow. Okay. Fu Shen nodded towards him in greeting. Commander Zhong, I trust you have been well since we last met. Forgive this humble one's Wait, oh, that's a cough. Okay, I guess, should I act out the cough or just read cough? And I'll just be reading because sometimes I won't know if it's a real cough or maybe you know what I mean. So, forgive this humble one's cough. Inconvenience moving, I cannot get up to return the salute. Zhong He had long since heard the news of how he had been seriously injured and could no longer walk, but he could never have imagined Fu Shen's injury was actually this severe. He originally had not truly believed the rumors of Fu Shen being truly disabled. However, now, seeing this scene with his own eyes, he had no choice but to believe it. Given Fu Shen's current look, don't mention recovering his original appearance, it seemed that even safely and steadily living a few more years would be a problem. It's just his legs. He's just a cripple. You guys are acting as though he underwent a heart transplant and it was partially successful. My goodness. Zheng He's vision darkened and he felt a chill run down his body from head to toe. Even his manner of address changed from grief. Jing Yuan, this injury of yours, you... His voice trembled as he trailed off and his eyes reddened, as if Fu Shen was not injured, but about to die very soon. The corner of Fu Shen's lips couldn't help but twitch, and he sighed. Many thanks for Commander Zhong's concern and care. It truly is just a leg injury and not life-threatening. He sighed. Zhongshan, hurry and find a handkerchief for Commander Zheng to wipe his tears. I can already imagine this adapted into a manhwa, and this would be a chibi scene. Yeah, a chibi scene. Many years ago, Zheng He had once served in the Yuan prefecture military. He had been acquaintances with Fu Tingzhong and Fu Tingxing, and somewhat counted as a senior to Fu Shen. Unfortunately, later on, Fu Shen took over the Northern Yan Iron Cavalry, and after spending many years immersed in northern Xinjiang, refusing to come back, these old friendships with those of his father's generation had gradually faded away. However, at this moment, he was seriously injured and looked extremely wan and sallow. This appearance suddenly made Zheng He forget his status. Aww. He could only remember that vigorous and lively boy who had always followed behind Fu Tingxin. He then considered how Fu Shen was completely solitary, without any parents above him or any children running around his knees. He actually did not even have a single close friend by his side to aid and assist him. Seeing how he had suffered an incurable disability at this young age, Zheng He could not help but be overcome by sorrow and grief. It is all because of our incompetence. We couldn't stop you from entering the battlefield back then, so disaster was able to strike in the present. When I go down to the underworld in the future, what face will I have to see your father and uncle? Commander Zhang. Fu Shen felt a headache coming on and supported himself on the side of the carriage. Don't mention those events that have already passed. I am fine, and there is no need for you to be in such grief. He refused to call Zheng He noble uncle from beginning to end. So, while Zheng He remained in low spirits, he also felt Fu Shen was truly very cold and indifferent. The sky had already darkened, and Fu Shen's party was hurrying to enter the capital, so the two bid farewell here. After changing, the fine northern Yan riders continued to gallop in the direction of the capital so as to enter before the city gates closed. The last time Fu Shen had returned to Beijing was 3 months ago. The capital had not changed, still bustling and prosperous with lights everywhere like always. The accompanying Northern Yan soldiers rarely had the chance to come to the capital, so they looked around as they walked, and the speed of their entourage gradually slowed as a result. Their party of travelers on the street was really too conspicuous. Fu Shen considered the situation before he waved to call Xiaoshun over and whispered an order. First, send me back to my official residence. Then you can take them out to stroll around as they please. No visiting prostitutes or gambling. No making trouble. Put any expenses on my account. Now go. Oh, it feels like a parent telling them, wait until I go to bed and then you can stay and watch TV all you like. But no watching porn. That's what this feels like to me. Xiao Shun didn't even think to refuse. No way. I told you to go, so go. Fu Shen seemed to be lacking in strength, and his voice was very quiet. Oh, really? His voice was quiet, huh? Okay, let me imitate his quiet voice. I told you to go. No. I told you to go, so go. Well, it's lacking, but anyway, let's just continue. His voice was very quiet, but his words were goading and insulting enough to make one's fist itch. Xiao Zhongshan, if you keep orbiting around my feet and following my every step, I won't be able to keep up my reputation. If I cannot marry a wife, you will have to be my dutiful. Okay. Let me read this properly first. Xiao Zhongshan, if you keep orbiting around my feet and following my every step, I won't be able to keep up my reputation. If I cannot marry a wife, you will have to be my dutiful and filial son by my bed in the future. Ah, ha, 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 ha. If I cannot marry a wife, you will have to be my dutiful and filial son by my bed in the future. Xiao Shen, could not beat this mischievous general at this game and could only accept his orders in embarrassment. After turning through a small alley, they arrived at a clean and tidy street. This area was comprised solely of mansions for meritorious and high nobility, built with exquisite elegance and emitting a majestic aura, quieter and more tranquil than the homes of ordinary people. The residence of the Marquis of Jingling was located at the northeast corner. The old housekeeper servants dismantled the threshold to welcome the carriage into the door. How thoughtful! And all the servants waited in the atrium. Which one? The left or the right? Upon seeing the master of their mansion being carried out by his subordinates, they all hesitated and shrank back to the side, not daring to go forward. Go welcome your master, youths. After Fushan had been sealed as Marquis, he was cut off from the Duke of Ying official residence to live separately. He had not cared at all about this large mansion. The servants had been old, weak, or sick ones pulled by his stepmother from her maiden family of Shin, each working around for 4 or 5 years after being sent here. Fushan very rarely used this home and had no friendships or bonds with the servants. On the rare occasion where he actually did return here to live for a short period of time, this group of people behaved like mice who had seen a cat, timidly hiding away in the kitchen and the servant rooms. Aside from any absolutely necessary tasks, they never emerged to enter his eyes. Wow. Okay. Fortunately, although the servants feared him, they had not abandoned their work and chores. Xiao Shun carried Fu Shen back to the bedroom and asked the servants for hot water. He took off Fu Shen's robe for him, wiped his face, and supported him to lie down on the bed. The moment Fu Shen had been cleaned up, he promptly burned his bridges and kicked Xiao Shun straight out. Go do what you're supposed to do. Have someone leave a door open for you at night. The rear court is entirely composed of wing rooms. You may all sleep there as you wish. Forgive me if there's any incompleteness in treatment. Xiao Shen so Fu Shen could barely conceal the tiredness and exhaustion on his face any longer, so he did not say another word and tactfully left. Yeah, as you should. The pills he had taken in the afternoon had a very strong what? Oh my gosh! This is the first time I am encountering this word. Soporific effect. Okay, okay. Just wait for me a moment as I go to Google this word because this word feels like it's straight out of a dictionary. Hold on first. Okay, I'm back. I looked up the word. So, this word, for some of you that already know, or if you don't know, like me, this word means like it has some kind of, more like it induces sleep or drowsiness. So, basically, it helps to like induce sleep. So, this horrific effect is inducing drowsiness, inducing sleep. So, oh, and I actually thought that maybe this pill will help him pretend to be a cripple. Turns out it's just like some kind of pill for like insomnia and stuff. Well, let's get into it. The pills he had taken in the afternoon had a very strong soporific effect. And Fushen had forced himself to resist the urge to sleep this whole time in order to socialize with the men in the capital garrison. At this moment, he could no longer hold on. Almost the exact moment Xiao Shun pushed the door to leave, Fushan fell straight into a drowsy dream. From outside the window, an old servant perked up his ears to listen for a while. Only when long and even breath sounds came from inside did he tiptoe out of the inner court. Why are you spying? He let the cook prepare some easily digestible congee and keep these warm on the stove to serve when the master woke up. Fu Shen and his entourage had traveled light and had walked into the capital using the proper roads. The news of their arrival was thus quickly transmitted into the palace and to the ears of the courtiers. Ooh, that rhymes. To the ears of the courtiers. Who knows? Maybe I'm just messing up the pronunciations. Hey, so long as you can see, the pronunciation does not matter. And to the ears of the courtiers. Still, no one should be visiting at this moment. So, after the old servant sent away Shao Shun and the others, he closed the main entrance and left only a corner gate open. But who could have expected that not even an hour after Fushan fell asleep, a burst of urgent and powerful door knocks came from outside the Marquis of Jingning's official residence. The doorman did not dare to be irrelevant and hurried inside to report. Yeah, good thing, because that person, okay, an assassin wouldn't really use the main gate, so I guess it's just some person who's really worried and stuff. The only useful old servant in the house dragged himself over as fast as he could on his unwieldy legs. As soon as he made it, he was shocked stiff by the sight of a group of black clothed. Wait, is that block or black? And block clothed? I think it's black. This was an era. Okay, I'm just gonna assume it's black. I have autocorrect. He was shocked stiff by the sight of a group of black-clothed men riding heavy horses with personal swords hanging off their waists. The old servant was utterly stricken with terror. May I ask these gentlemen? The crowd of people parted on their own volition, and a man of tall and imposing stature emerged from the throng. Stopping his horse in the light outside the shadow of the eaves. That very moment, the cloud patterns on his dark blue clothes flashed and flickered like flowing water, and the silver embroidered Pegasi on the back of his outer robe spread their wings in preparation for flight. The moonlight and lamplight illuminated a beautiful face with smiling eyes and thin lips. This description is too detailed for a side character. Like, come on. I think this is the other ML. And since they're like black clothes, since like guards, I think this is the guard. It's like, normally the guards wear like black, so that if need be, they can blend into the shadows like ninjas. So I think this guy is the other ML or the MC. Okay, but that one's the MC since it's his pulp, so he should be the ML. Old man, there is no need to panic. He politely nodded in greeting, but his tone was full of arrogance. I knew it! Flying Dragon God, Royal Inspector Envoy Yan Shaohan, following His Majesty's decree to specially invite a famous doctor to see to the Marquis of Jingning's wounds. If I may bother you to go notify the Marquis. Yeah, he's the guard. Yeah. Okay, I think it's because I was spoiled, so I know that one of them is a guard and the other is a general. So since I know that Marquis is same as general, or he's been upgraded, whatever, I'll just call him a general, since in the previous chapters one of his men called him a general. So yeah, let's just say he's a general and this one's a guard. Now the only thing that I have to figure out is which one is top and which one is bot. Yeah, so let's get into it. Flying Dragon Guard Royal Inspector Envoy Yan Shaohan. Okay, I'll remember your name, Yan. I'll just call you Yan or Han, but I think Yan is better. Following His Majesty's decree to specially invite a famous doctor to see to the Marquis of Jingning's wounds. If I may bother you to go notify the Marquis. The old servant could not tell between the uniforms of different officials, but he had served in 2 official residences for several decades and was as such very familiar with the name Yan Shaohan. His heart suddenly thumped in his chest. Why? And he tried to stall with evasive words. My master has just completed a long and arduous trip, and his body is also injured. Just now he already fell asleep. Sir, you see, from the court to the countryside, there was not a single person who did not know the flying dragon god had always acted with overbearing tyranny, and there were even fewer who dared to stop them. Yan Shao. What about the Han? Where did the Han go? Yeah, okay, that's the problem with reading unofficial translations, but hey, some of us are really broke. We would also like to support the authors, but we're just broke. Yan Xiaohan glanced condescendingly down at him. The hand holding the horse reins was pale and gaunt, and the sleeves of his robes slipped to reveal a small ice-cold bracer made of wrought iron. With a faint imitation of a smile on his face, he asked, "What? Is this old man very afraid of me meeting your Marquis?" He was indeed right on. There was no secret in the capital. Yan Xiaohan, the left defined, okay, finally some exposition between the two. Yep, he's the ML, guys. Here's the email. The ML. Oh, I'm so tired. There was no secret in the capital. Yan Xiaohan, the left divine martial army general, and flying dragon god royal. Okay, these names are too long. Like, come on. I'm even tired of just reading them. Can't you just say that the guard marshal something? Let's read. Yan Xiaohan, the left divine martial army general, and flying dragon god royal inspector envoy, was the mightiest and most dangerous official in the capital in recent years. He was also the lackey of the imperial court, who everyone did their best to avoid, the eyes and ears of the emperor himself. Even more terrible, he and the Marquis of Jingning Fushen were born to clash with each other. They had long since been incompatible, a pair of arch enemies set in stone. Oh no, they're a pair of distant lovers set in, what's the opposite of stone? Set in water. It was said that any meeting between them would end in a fight, and even the emperor could not stop them. Oh, enemies to lovers, huh? Just this year, at morning court 3 months ago, the two men came into conflict over the matter of the imperial court dispatching envoys to reside in and supervise all military garrisons. In front of all the great ministers, they actually derided each other for half an hour and almost descended into a bout of fisticuffs in public. The emperor was so furious he smashed an imperial inkstone, only after punishing both men with a fine of half a year's salary and hurriedly sending Fushen back to northern Xinjiang was the matter resolved. Enemies to lovers. Now the wheel of fortune had reversed. Fushen had returned to the capital in dire straits, while Yan Xiaohan still possessed that same high status and powerful position. If he decided to pursue revenge for those private affairs, how could their Marquis's body buried? Oh, come on, would he be that low to do that? I'm sure he must like him. Why would he come here? As soon as he, it's been like less than an hour or less than 30 minutes. I wasn't paying attention much. The old servant had a guilty conscience, and terror and fright showed on his face. This insignificant one does not dare. It is just that my Marquis is truly incapable of bearing any torment. May I ask Sir's forgiveness? Taking advantage of this speaking time, Yan Xiaohan looked around the Marquis of Jingning's official residence. The courtyard was tiny, yet desolate. He could see the traces of the servants' maintenance, but it still seemed to lack the air of actually being lived in. He let out an unnoticeable sigh and made a concession. I did not come to make trouble for him. Never mind, you do not need to notify him. I will just go in to glance him over and then leave. Why are you glancing at people without their permission? I do not, yeah, I think I am now in the right to suspect that this Yan Xiaohan definitely has some, hidden, like he's nursing some kind of feelings because it's what normally happens. I mean, you can't blame me because it's always the one with an arrogant something something that has these feelings. So I'm gonna assume the worst or the best. I did not make. I did not come to make trouble for him. Never mind. You do not need to notify him. I'll just go in to glance him over and then leave. The old servant insisted, but he was truly out of his league and could only retreat to let him in. He lit a lantern and led the way in front. Yan Xiaohan had his accompanying flying dragon guard stay in the forecourt to avoid the presence of excessive people and movements causing any misunderstandings. He only brought a young man with a meager and gentle scholar-like appearance to enter the inner court. Is that like his personal attendant or something? The enormous Marquis's residence was completely empty. There were a few trees planted in the yard. Their fallen leaves had built up extensively during a period without cleaning, as if the entire capital's bleak autumn had all landed in this courtyard. uh, the sky was dark at this time, and the other courtyards were silent and uninhabited. Pitch black darkness covered the residence. Only a weak and faint yellow glow sipping from the main room window seemed to add a hint of desolation. Yan Xiaohan was still able to restrain himself, but the young man walking next to him had already shaken his head again and again, whispering, "The Marquis of Jingning is of such background and merit. How is his home so?" The old servant sympathized and sighed deeply. The Marquis has guarded the border for many years and often cannot return home for 3 or 5 years. There is no wise and kind wife in the family who can preside over and manage the housework. All that remains is us old useless ones, incapable of sharing the Marquis's cares and burdens. As he rambled on and on, he reached out to open the door of the main hall for these guests and invited the two to take a seat. He lit all the lamps and then ordered others to prepare tea. "The two of you, please wait here. I will go invite the Marquis." He had barely finished speaking when a muffled thud sounded from the inner chamber on the west side, as if something heavy had fallen from a height onto the ground. "Is that Fushan?" The old servant's hands trembled. He had not yet reacted when the flying dragon god imperial envoy, who had just been standing beside him, moved as fast as the wind, flashing into the inner room in the blink of an eye. "Yeah, Habi. Wait, that's it? Ah. Okay, this things are getting interesting. Like, I'm surprised that it's ended so fast, but I'm guessing this is where we say goodbye. Okay, thank you for reading with me. Things are now getting interesting. I'm liking it. So basically, that was probably for Shen. But why? Okay, I guess maybe he was trying to stand up because he heard that the guests had arrived or something. So yeah, things are getting interesting. I'm loving it. See you in the next chapter.